Story 1. The more I grow up, the more I understand why Squidward found SpongeBob and Patrick annoying little troublemakers. Story 2. People mobile order their coffee while I wait in line like a normal person. Then I have to wait longer while the barista adds another drink to the mountain of orders that customers have not even picked up yet. Story 3. Car headlights. I would like to see the road too, and it is unreasonably difficult to do that when you are shining that many lumens in my face. Story 4. Everything hurts and aches. Things you took for granted, your strength, your ability to recover after a late night. It all just starts to change. Story 5. When we got married in our 20s, my wife and I often debated where we should retire when the time came. I wanted to retire to the countryside, far away from everyone. She wanted to travel the world. Paris, London, and other crowded places. Now, in our late 40s, she is completely on board with my idea. We cannot wait to move far away from everyone else. Story 6. A group of people taking up the entire path walking slowly while chatting. If they do not move after I say, "Excuse me, please," the first time, I will just bulldoze through them because I have places to be. Story 7. The whole aspect of respecting your elders has gone out the window for me, especially now in my 30s. You get what you give. If you are 60 years old and rude to me, go away. Story 8. Going out late in general. Friends once asked me if I wanted to join them and go to a karaoke bar. It was around 9 to 9:30 in the evening. At 9 p.m., I am already showered, under a blanket, in my pajamas. I barely want to get up to grab something to drink from my kitchen, let alone go out. Story 9. That hunched over slow walk people do as they look at their phones, especially in places where everyone is rushing like airports. Just step to the side. Story 10. People throwing tantrums. Like, big, "Look at me, I'm having a fit until the problem is solved for me" style tantrums. You're an adult? Acting like that? Sort your issues out. Story 11. Learning the facts that many family members, friends, and ex-boyfriends have no empathy, are selfish, take the low road, and are cowards who never take accountability. I own my mistakes. I would rather own my actions and words than hide. When it really counts, true colors shine through. I am disgusted with most of them. Story 12. Watching the world as I knew it and enjoyed it become increasingly worse. Loss of third places, mobile ordering, social media, housing prices, and fast food or fast casual restaurants all got ruined by private equity. Politically correct language enforcement is everywhere. It is all very annoying. Story 13. Spontaneous changes to plans you originally committed to. We agreed to do X, so why are we doing Y now? And who is this person you brought with you who is responsible for doing Y now? This has happened on multiple occasions. Story 14. People ask for advice, completely ignore the advice given, and then complain when the issue they were advised about happens to them, acting surprised. Story 15. Cars. I used to just dislike them. Now they are seriously starting to push my limits. They take up so much space, and I keep noticing more how much physical space usage is determined by cars. Story 16. Insecure people and adults who are always upset about something someone else did. For example, being angry because a person had lunch with someone else while you were hanging out with them, which is mean. I will literally walk away mid-conversation if something like that comes up. That was always annoying when younger, but as an adult, I cannot even fathom that behavior. Also, slow-moving people who are unaware that their body takes up space. Their presence causes others to wait, such as when someone blocks an aisle by leaving their grocery cart next to a shelf, causing 12 people to wait while they choose an item. They do not even notice the line of people on both sides waiting for them. Story 17. Crowds. I do not want to stand at concerts. I do not want to wade through a sea of people to go to any event. If I am going to go, I get in early and get out. Story 18. People with zero spatial awareness include clueless individuals at stores who stand in the middle of aisles, usually on their phones, and groups of people who block sidewalks and pathways. The rule is to walk in a line behind each other, not spread out and cause obstructions. Story 19. Seeing parents take their own traumas out on their children when we have so many more resources in education these days. Story 20. Multitasking. Just let me focus on one thing at a time. I don't need to optimize my time by spreading my attention over multiple things all the time. Story 21. Searching for a job. Especially when I see the question, why do you want to work in our company? I do not know. Maybe because, hear me out, I need money. Story 22. Toilet paper math. 24 family rolls equal 56 super rolls. 12 jumbo rolls equal 43 economy rolls. 16 mega rolls equal 94 regular rolls. This situation is becoming frustrating. Story 23. This might be very specific to my city, but construction is always ongoing. Cannot stand it. As soon as they finish one area, it starts in another. I really hate it. Story 24. Literally everything has changed. Nothing is like how it was when I grew up. I now understand why many elderly people are grumpy. Story 25. Scooters and motorbikes. People rushing to get out of airplanes before they land. Kids in trains, buses, and airplanes. Tourists window shopping on the ground. People who do not help. People who say goodbye 30 times. Telephones that ring to ask if I want a deal. American politics. Story 26. I live in a quiet neighborhood where children ride their bicycles. We have a lot of wildlife and people drive golf carts. I strongly dislike people speeding. The speed limit is 30 miles per hour. I have seen 2 baby deer get hit by cars. A neighbor also had her cat run over, which should not have been outside. But still. Story 27. Facial hair. If I grew it out, I would have a mustache and beard that a 14-year-old boy would be proud of. Wispy but definitely visible. Story 28. Just plain nastiness. I cannot expend energy on unpleasant gossip. Empathy and the people who have the capacity for it are very important to me now. I care much more about the plight of others after going through my lifetime of experiences. Story 29. People who make a federal case of every little annoyance that comes along in life, especially if they act like they are so special that they should go through life completely carefree. I have tried to talk to younger coworkers, telling them to just ignore the little stuff, pick your battles, and so on. But no, everything is a personal attack by the universe. When they come to complain to me, I try to tell them that if that is the worst thing that happens to you today, you are blessed. Story 30. Losing feeling in your fingers makes it impossible to use clasps on jewelry and perform other tasks that require tactile efficiency. Story 31. Having to get up every day, then deal with endless demands from everyone. They argue with you, do not listen, or never thank you for anything you do, and when you push back, they treat you worse. Every single day. But I have obligations as a father and husband, and I am the only source of income for 3 other people who solely depend on me. The people I manage are spoiled and pretentious. It is not great. Story 32. Body aches and pains. I am only 52, but most days I feel 72. Some days I feel 82. Like the old beer commercial said, some days are better than others. Story 33. Noise has changed as I have aged, and I hate it because I love music and fun. I hoped I would be a fun grandmother. Now, I am just trying to find a job after age 50 and keep it with a slower mind and mental health issues, struggling to pay bills until I die. In summary, I am becoming every negative thing that my elders were when I was a young parent. It is disheartening. Story 34. Chauvinism. Why are people so willing to send millions to their deaths against their will for some greater goal that nobody truly believes in? Why does it get worse? Story 35. Rude customers. I understand that it is annoying when service is slow, but you do not have to be rude to the young person just working a difficult fast food job. Story 36. I don't mind ambient noise such as traffic in a city, but I get very upset when I encounter a stomping upstairs neighbor, unpleasant mouth sounds while eating, or people who decide to have a heated debate in a movie theater. I am frustrated by those who shift the blame to me by calling it a misophonia disorder. Story 37. Seeing kids with tablets will stress me out a little bit. I worry about them, not in a get off my lawn or kids these days kind of way, more like the way you would feel seeing someone smoking in their car with a toddler in the back seat. I mean, that cannot be good for them. Story 38. Do you have to record everything? Nobody is ever watching your vertical iPhone video of the 4th of July fireworks. Keith. Just enjoy the moment. Story 39. Oh God. So much. I've turned into one moaning, grumpy, miserable person. Here's my list. 1. The cost of everything. How selfish and self-absorbed people are. Queues and people who wait until they get to the checkout and start asking for stuff on the shop floor, or wait until they are at the till, then get their payment out and spend ages putting it away, packing, and asking thousands of questions. People who don't look where they're going because their face is buried in their phone. Hypocrisy, especially on social media platforms like X. Terrible drivers. Offended people. It's okay to find something offensive and dislike certain things, but don't think the world has to stop doing something because you find it offensive. Sometimes you just have to accept that others have different opinions. People really need to toughen up. People who are so sure that their thought is the right one because it's what they read on the internet. It's their belief. What I've found as I've gotten older is that most things are about half and half. Very few conflicts are truly good versus evil. In almost all cases, both sides believe what they are doing is for the best. Always try to look at things objectively from both sides. It's ironic to say this after points 8 and 7, which puts me squarely in point 5. But people who hide behind the anonymity of the internet to be really horrible to others online, there is no need for it. Story 40. People living in this country who refuse to stand up during the national anthem do not realize how good we have it compared to most other countries. It is actually appalling to me. Story 41. For me, the number of people who get upset about showing their identification when buying controlled substances, as if they are exempt from the law, is very annoying. I am 43 years old and will show my identification whenever required without hesitation. Takes only a few seconds, and then I proceed with my purchase. I do not understand why this is so difficult for some people. Story 42. People. I prefer the solitude of my backyard. I am backed by a forest, and my little animal friends visit every day. Story 43. Older adults are often cut off, have others cut in front of them, and have doors slammed in their face, especially in casinos. Story 44. That my body cannot endure everything anymore. You have to help him because he will no longer do it alone. Story 45. There are aspects that are definitely annoying, like your body starting to fail you. Stuff starts to hurt. I am smarter, tougher, and more determined than I have ever been, but I get tired sometimes. Story 46. Definitely younger people, especially those who do donuts in the FedEx parking lot nearby when it is around 1 or 2 a.m. Story 47. Body pain. Much of mine comes from my job, but I am 20 years old and have hip pain. It is very annoying. I used to be able to shake it off, but now it affects my daily life. Story 48, mainly due to my work, but people who are so clueless about technology. They are usually the ones who throw a tantrum if one icon is moved to a different spot, especially doctors. Story 49. Shopping, cooking, eating, cleaning, waking up, going to sleep, making and spending money, meeting people, talking to myself, showering, going to the bathroom, silence, noises, getting out of bed, spending all the time in bed, hobbies, planning. Story 50. Crowds. Even relatively well-behaved crowds. I just do not like being in them, and places being crowded will sometimes dissuade me from going somewhere. Noisy restaurants. Noise in general, but particularly noisy restaurants. I do not want to yell to have a conversation with my companions. That is not ambience. It is annoying. Story 51. Beauty influencers and life coach videos are becoming shallower because no skin is the same and no problems are alike. They often end up endorsing a product or promoting someone to follow. Additionally, they post about life being perfect or almost perfect, but if life were truly perfect, then why would there be a need to promote it? I just couldn't grasp the logic. Story 52. I have found that the older I get, the more I am able to take life in stride and the less annoyed I become at things around me. Story 53. Fees. There are fees for everything. A tax on my taxes, parking fees, payment fees, ticket venue service fees, transaction fees, Recycling fees when the county does not even recycle, and annual fees based on a car's value when I have already paid for the car, the gas, the insurance, the road, the license, and the sales tax. Story 54. People who try to rationalize bad behavior with therapy talk lack integrity or tolerate people with a lack of integrity. They then pretend to be mature and the bigger person by enabling bad behavior. Story 55. Carrying other people's slack. Sandbagging is the most irritating thing in my daily life. If I had the authority and status, I would fire every person who deliberately feigns incompetence to avoid sharing responsibility equally for the workload. Story 56. I thought getting older would take longer. I also hate when elderly people are the same age as me. I received a phone call at 9 o'clock, and they asked, "Did I wake you?" Story 57. We get older, and we are still expected to act like we are not aging, and we need to have it all figured out. It is horrible, honestly. Story 58. Technology is always changing. Glitches and errors can prevent it from working. Some aspects of my job would be much easier without technology. Story 59. My knees. I am only 26 and never listened to anyone about being careful doing certain things. They hurt so badly half the time. At my job, I have almost dropped to the floor because of it. Do not put your knees through hard things for years just because it does not hurt yet. Believe people when they say you will feel it eventually, because the pain was not subtle to me. It just sprung out one day. Story 60. Going out to eat and having to sit in a crowded waiting area for a table. I finally told my kids we will join only on a weekday, or, if it has to be the weekend, we will go out before the place gets busy. I hate to be an old person, but this is how it is. The food during busy times is usually rushed and not as good, the service is bad, and then they rush you trying to turn the table. Let's not get started on traffic and parking. Story 61. To be honest, the older I get, the better my ability to cope with annoying things becomes. I used to complain about everything. Now I just say, meh, it is what it is, and continue living my life. For example, I used to think music sucks nowadays. Now I do not even care anymore. Story 62. Children, especially teenagers. I just told my husband that I only want to eat at pubs where teenagers are not allowed. I was barked at by a boy in a group of teenagers at Target, and then they all laughed. 25 years ago, it would have been hilarious if one of my friends barked at a lady looking at socks. But now I wanted a manager. I did not get one because I still desperately want to be cool. But here we are. Story 63. People in their late teens and early 20s are often immature and self-centered. This is not a unique observation, but it becomes clearer as you realize, wow, I was like that. I like being older now. Story 64. The act of stretching. I just want to have a kick around and not worry about my tendons splitting in half. Sad to say, but yes, on the right side of 30, but nothing major. Story 65. Tardiness. I think it is very disrespectful for someone to be late. My tolerance for late people is the worst of anyone, or so I am told. Story 66. People telling me about how something was done in the last 50 years. Yes, I know. I was there. Story 67. Loud noise, especially my neighbor's power tools. Why are you outside with a circular saw ruining everybody's Saturday? I wouldn't complain so much if he hadn't done it every weekend for the past 2 years. Story 68. The Make America Great Again movement proudly waves flags while voting to defund the very lifeboats they are floating in. Story 69. Everything and everyone, but mostly gravity. Stuff falls to the ground or floor. No matter how carefully I put it where I want it, it ends up on the floor. Story 70. People. Entitlement. Racism. Bigotry. Ignorance. Malice. Incompetence. Corporate jargon and buzzwords. Baseless inflation. Hostile government takeovers. Genocide. Story 71. I do not like the way young people look at me with suspicion, as if I am a racist old white man. I was brought up as a hippie, so I love everyone, and I still feel like I am 25 in my mind. Story 72. Misspelling basic words is common. For example, people often use loose instead of lose. I have no idea why, but it irritates me greatly. Story 73. Cities that expand for miles, tearing up farms, forests, and nature, while the inner city deteriorates. We do not need more identical strip centers and warehouses. Story 74. These modern headlights on cars cause my eyes to not adjust quickly enough, and I have to look away toward the ditch or fog line. It is especially bad with the large trucks and sport utility vehicles. Story 75. Truly, anything that is a speed bump on the way to get something done. Want to print 3 pictures for a project at home? The printer doesn't work. It has ink from the correct brand, but it isn't working. It will not work. This project was supposed to be something fun to help you relax. Want to get something done at work? That task that used to require a phone call now involves 3 forms you know about and at least 2 you don't know about until someone complains or you email someone to find out what else you need to do because nothing is happening. They will every time act like everyone in history knows about this form that was invented last week and only 3 people know about. You cannot find anyone's number anymore. You have to email them because needing an immediate answer to an urgent problem is apparently unacceptable. Want to pay a bill? Do you want to buy anything? Do you remember your password? It is tied to your email address. Now you cannot access that email because it is your old email address and you have entered the incorrect password. You want to reset the password, and you have to send a code to your phone, another code to another email address, and perform an impossible task. You cannot have any social media account that is not tied to your real name, so your entire life is on display to everyone you know all the time. Work colleagues, old high school acquaintances you do not care about, family that likes to gossip. There is little chance for socializing without social media being a contact point. Then, when you are in public, you have to always be on guard and never relax because someone might film you dancing, and you may look awkward doing so, and now you are not getting that promotion. I just want to accomplish a task from start to finish at my own speed and be able to relax in public and feel the glory of complete anonymity again. Story 76. When I was about 5 years old, my mom got a phone call from the grocery store because her dad, my grandpa, was refusing to pay $2.25 for a jar of peanut butter. This was in the early 1990s. We had to go there and buy it for him using his money. He was upset. Apparently, Grandma had been doing the shopping for many years, and he was under the impression that a jar still cost 50 cents. Now, that jar costs $4.50, and I am upset. Story 77. Movies. Forget them. There are only really 7 plots in the modern world, and I have seen them dozens of times. Nothing new under the sun. I am familiar with every trope, cliché, and semiotic after all these years. Story 78. Younger people. It is strange how it happens, but as society changes, the norms you are used to gradually fade and are replaced by newer norms. The younger generations are accustomed to these new norms, but you are not. You cannot understand why they do not follow the societal protocols you grew up with, but they have no experience with them to begin with. It is unfortunate, but it happens to all of us eventually. Story 79. How I can't just buy and own anything anymore. Everyone wants a subscription on top of a purchase. I'm only 20 and I'm already talking about how, back in my day, we used to buy DVDs we liked, and how a microwave shouldn't need an annual subscription plan. Story 80. Loud, ill-behaved children and the parents who do not correct them. I have to stop myself from approaching them to suggest ways to be better parents. Do not let your children ruin dinner or movies for people who do not want to hear that. I hate when the television volume is set to the highest level when I call someone or at restaurants and bars. Constant background noise and loud restaurants, such as Buffalo Wild Wings. Story 81. I'm tired of being annoyed at how people walk on the sidewalk. They don't look up. They look down. They walk right into me, walk slowly, stop randomly, walk on the wrong side, and come barreling out of storefronts as if the sidewalk is not a place where they could run into people or people into them. They walk 4 to 6 people wide, blocking the way for everyone. I fear I may never let this go. I'm not yet 40, but every year it annoys me more. Story 82. Picture this. A beautiful spring morning. You wake up to the sun on your face, pour yourself some coffee, and sit on the porch to enjoy a few moments before starting the day. And then, lawn mowers, leaf blowers, trucks tearing down the street, construction work, maybe even a chainsaw. Not just in spring. A beautiful day in any season means the neighbors need to break out the power equipment to mow the lawn, blow the leaves, or build a deck. It is always something that apparently has to be done with the loudest equipment possible. Even in winter, our next-door neighbor clears his sidewalks with a leaf blower. I am very close to organizing a neighborhood schedule for loud projects. Please, no one start up their gas-powered equipment before 10 a.m. Story 83. The journey home after a day out. I just want to be able to teleport home and get some proper rest. Story 84. When I clearly state what I want or need so plainly and concisely, yet my order still gets messed up somehow. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.